Hey you, welcome back on the channel, and today we will talk about headstand. There are basically two variations of headstand, the tripod headstand and the traditional one where you cup your head with your hands, and we will look at both variations. I will recommend some additions to that and what you can do to improve your headstand, and will recommend some ways that are maybe easier for you to get into handstand or that helped me to get better in headstand. Me personally, I'm not practicing headstand very often, but it's a fun way to get upside down and get some inversion into your practice if you're not used to handstands or forearm stands. So let's look at the physics behind headstand. Very often the headstand is the first inversion yoga practitioners trying to attempt. But most of them think they need to balance all the weight on the head, which is not true, and you shouldn't do that at all. You balance your weight onto your forearms, your hands, and your head, depending on which variation you are choosing or which way you want to choose to get upside down. You balance your weight mostly on your hands and on your forearms, especially when you're trying to do the traditional one. You balance a lot of weight on your forearms, around 60 to 70%, and just 30 to 40% on your head. When I started with the headstand, my favorite way to get there was the tripod headstand. So you build up a triangle with your head and your hands. It's very stable because triangle is a very stable structure, and it's easy to get upside down because you can stack your knees onto your elbows and bring the legs up. The other way to get upside down is the traditional headstand, where you cup your hands behind your back and bring the legs up. The most common mistake I see with headstand is that people try to kick up and then they fall over because they use too much force and they don't have the power to put in the brakes to stop their body on the way up. The best solution for this is go up slow and go up with control, and we will look at this now. So come onto your mat and we will start to do some headstands. You should be warmed up for that, but we're just looking at the techniques now, so it's totally fine. Just look and then you can implement it into your practice. We will start with the tripod headstand. So you bring the top or the crown of your head, which is mostly there when you bring your hand to your forehead, where the middle finger is touching your head. So you bring your head to the ground, you build a triangle with your head and your hands. Your arms are almost in a 90-degree angle actually, so you have a very wide triangle with equal sides, which is very sturdy and stable. Then you can lift the knees up from the ground. Put your right knee onto your right elbow, your right upper arm on the left knee on your left arm. And you're in a tripod headstand actually. So this is already a headstand, but we want to bring our legs up for sure. So when you're here, you can try to straighten one leg up to the sky. Maybe change to the other leg. And if you feel stable with one leg up, you can bring both legs up. As I said before, in this variation, you have a bit more weight on to your head, but also a lot of weight onto your hands. For sure, you can also bring both legs up at the same time. Or you can pike up from the ground if this is what you want to accomplish. With this way, because we're not kicking up, we're not using too much force, and we won't fall over. And if you fall over because your balance is not there yet, it's totally fine because you can just roll out the whole thing. Let's look at the traditional headstand. Originally, you bring all fingers together and hook your lower pinky in so you have a sturdy base. But what I would recommend is build a fist with your hands so you have more control with your hands onto the ground. You bring this fist onto the ground. You can also hook in the lower pinky again if you want. Your elbows are quite close. You can also check the distance of your elbows if you touch your elbows with your hands. Open your hands up again, make the fist, and then bring your forehead, the crown of your head, again in front of your hands. From here, we're not trying to kick up. We pull one leg in, and then we pull the other leg in. And then you can straighten up to the sky and be long and stable in your inversion. Kicking up is not the right way, but you can slowly move up if you do the L shape with your legs, and then try to shift your weight with both legs up. You can also pike up from the ground when you want to do both legs at one time, which is a bit more exhausting, not easy to talk at, but it's a cool and fun way to move up. For me, this one was a bit harder to learn, but it's way better for your head and your overall posture because you are concentrating a lot of weight onto your forearms, actually, not onto your head. So through this is not so hard to balance because, as I said, you balance your weight on your forearms and you have a lot of space where you can put the weight on. Try those two variations. Let me know how it goes. And I wish you a lot of fun with those two ways to get upside down. Peace out, Tobi. Thank you for your time.